So today we're going to explore something called the CO2 tolerance test. Now this is a deceptively simple exercise, but one that reveals an incredible amount about your breathing health, your nervous system, and even your ability to stay calm under pressure. Think of it as like holding up a mirror to your respiratory system and also your nervous system, your stress response that you can use anytime, anywhere to gain more awareness. So why does this test matter? Now, to understand it, let's step away from pranayama and let's understand a little more about breathing by thinking about our meal times. In the modern world, we tend to overrun on stimulation. There's too little sleep, there's too much stress, and often too much food, and yes, too much breathing. From a metabolic perspective, many of us have lost the flexibility. If you miss a meal, you instantly feel anxious or jittery or unable to think about anything else or concentrate. That's a good sign that there's an imbalance there. Someone with a healthy metabolic flexibility could miss a meal or even miss 2 meals without their body noticing all that much, and definitely without the need to go into panic mode. Now, breathing is pretty similar to this. When CO2, carbon dioxide, builds up in the bloodstream, many people would react as though they're in immediate, incredible danger. Gasp, fidget, they would start to tense up. But in reality, a moderate increase in CO2 isn't just safe, it betters us, it benefits us. It offers us an essential way to deliver oxygen into working tissues. Now, breathing and the chemistry and the biology around breathing is quite misunderstood. Often it's perceived that we're surrounded by oxygen and that we breathe oxygen in, and then the waste product is CO2, carbon dioxide. We need to get rid of it. But in reality, of the air that we breathe in, about 78% of it is nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and then the other 1% is nominal gases, some of which is CO2. Now, when you exhale, CO2 rises, and it rises from that negligible 1% to about 4 or 5% in the exhaled air. So it's not very much of a change. Now, here's the key. CO2 isn't a waste product that needs to be purged from the body. Thanks to Danish physiologist Christian Bohr, we now know that CO2 plays a crucial role in helping your body release oxygen from the bloodstream into the working tissues. And without enough CO2 in the bloodstream, oxygen gets locked up in the hemoglobin and it can't be used efficiently. So if we want better health, we need to learn a little more about oxygen carbon dioxide's relationship with breathing better. And this is what the test is to help us identify. The CO2 tolerance test is a little like a stress test for your breathing. It can show us how comfortable you are at allowing CO2 to build up and how well your nervous system tolerates that signal. Do you respond calmly, or do you become super agitated and even begin to panic? Generally speaking, when you're well rested, when you're hydrated, when you're calm, your tolerance tends to be higher. But when you're stressed out, when you're ill, when you haven't slept well, your tolerance tends to be lower. Now, over time, you can improve the number that we get today. And this is a good sign that your breathing patterns are improving, that you're learning to regulate your nervous system better, and you're starting to more efficiently use oxygen, breathing it in and carrying it into the working tissues. And that's what this course is going to help you do. Improve the way you breathe, but importantly, use that as a mechanism to improve how you're experiencing the world. Here's how we do the test. First of all, we sit upright but shoulders relaxed, chin pretty parallel to the floor. Then in a moment, you'll use the stopwatch on the screen and you'll record your result in your manual or on a piece of paper in your notepad. And you simply do this. We're going to take 3 inhales and exhales, very gently, nothing forced. And then on the 3rd inhale, we're going to inhale gently and exhale fully all the way out. Once all the breath has left the body, you will gently close both sides of the nose, seal the lips, and keep your eyes closed too. And then I want you to pay attention to the hunger to breathe again, the thirst to breathe again. And when you feel that first strong urge, you simply open your eyes, look at the number on the screen, take a breath and make a note of that number. Now this is really important. This doesn't work if you get super competitive and if you push yourself until you feel dizzy. If you feel the body start to spasm and tense up around the chest, if after you release your hand you have to take a big gulp of air, then you're not doing the test correctly. You're stopping at the first bit of hunger. The moment your brain goes, I need to take a breath, this feels uncomfortable, that's what we want to record. And then we can use that number to give you feedback and data. Most people, when they first practice this, get between 10 and 20 seconds. With more practice, they can get themselves up to 20 to 30 seconds. And advanced breathers can comfortably hold their breath for 30 seconds and above. Remember, this is awareness and something that is you v you and not you v anyone else. You get respiratory flexibility. Earlier we spoke about metabolic flexibility. Well, this is where we can handle more CO2 without panicking, and that helps the nervous system become more ready. Lower numbers indicate physical or emotional stress and fatigue, or maybe even illness. And as you progress over time and you get higher numbers and your breathing stabilizes, then you will find that there will be a direct correlation to how you manage stress and how your body performs in stressful environments. Now, what I want you to do is to practice this 3 times, record all 3 numbers down in your notepad or in your manual, and then let's use this as another baseline, something that we can track over time and ensure that our time together and your practice over the course of the next weeks and months is progressive, is getting better. By the end of the course, you will see that improving your CO2 tolerance isn't just about holding your breath for longer. It's about reclaiming focus. It's about reclaiming adaptability to a world that is constantly changing and constantly trying to push you into overdrive. You are going to get a greater ability to slow things down and be with things as they are. And that is the highest of all the yoga principles and ideals. Enjoy today's practice. Remember, reach out if you need some more support, and I will see you in class. Okay everyone, let's start our CO2 tolerance test. Find a nice comfortable place to practice, sat on the floor or maybe in a chair with a backrest. We are going to complete 3 rounds. Remember, you're holding the breath just until you feel the first strong urge to breathe. There will be a timer on the screen, and when you feel you need to take a breath, make a note of the time, record it down on your notepad or in your training manual. Once you have completed your test, simply wait for round 2. There will be a maximum of 1 minute per round, but there's no expectation for you to hold your breath for that minute. Just be honest, find out where you are at this moment in time. Okay everyone, let's begin. Pen and paper at the ready or your printed manual. Let's take 3 gentle and calming breaths. Now that we feel calm, after the exhale, close the nose and let's begin our time. Remember, you are pausing until you feel the first strong urge to take a breath. Whenever that arrives, simply open your eyes, make a note of the time you can see on the screen, and then we can record it. If you are still holding your breath, we are about to close round 1, and that is our minute. So now let's return to taking 3 gentle breaths. Close the nose, eyes to the screen, and now hold your breath. Once again, if you're still holding your breath, eyes open, we're about to close round 2. If you've already taken a breath, make a note of the time. Let's take 3 final calming breaths and then practice our final CO2 tolerance together now. Exhale, close the nose, and let's record that time. And that brings us to a close of today's practice. Well done all. We now have 3 times. Let's add all those times together, divide them by 3, and that's going to give you your average.